This is Trophy Gold Crown of Salt Part 2, Saltburg. I'll remind you of your three set goals here to basically look at the wares in the shops, to pick up some rumors, and to hire or not hire the mercenaries. Now, you have looked at some of the stuff in the shops, and we're actually still in the middle of a shop scene with Nevin, and we'll return to that in a moment. But we also have the armorer and the weaponsmith as well. And you have picked up a rumor also. I'll remind you that Alicio didn't overhear the rumor as much as saw the rumor of smeared on a wall was a warning that said, "Beware of the saltworm." And I think I want to pick up with Nevin actually in that shop. Nevin, as we visit each character, I'm going to ask you to give, for the sake of viewers, just like a recap of your core block of info, like your burdens, gold, hunt tokens, and ruin, just so everybody knows where you stand right now.
I'm currently at three burdens and three ruin. No gold, no hunt tokens.
Okay, you have found some treasures though, right? Or have you
Uh,
not?
y-
You have not.
no.
All right,
I have gave that to other people.
got it. Amalia, the shopkeep, she she says, "I might be interested in hearing what you have to say, sharing some secret and valuable information that I can sell to someone else. I can't pay you money, but I can pay you in something that might be useful if you intend on going deeper into the wastes."
Yes. I believe that, well, in town, there is someone that looks remarkably like me who is the actual perpetrator for, well, stealing the crown of King Fathmu the Ninth.
Aye, I've heard about that story, and I've heard about the red-headed thief that was supposed to have made off with the crown. You're telling me that there's someone here in town
Yes.
who's not you
Mm-hmm.
who
Yes,
did this
because
crime.
yes. The name hasn't been ascertained yet, but however, more that the remnants of this fellow's travels because he keeps on stealing whatever trinkets of the most important and high people of any place that he travels to, stealing their icons of authority.
So you're telling me the King's Guard would be very happy to know about the location of this man.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I have been tasked by King Fafu the Ninth himself in this matter.
What if I told you there was someone here in town with striking red hair, perhaps fitting the description of this alleged thief?
Yes, that would be very useful.
Is it possible that the person you're thinking of is a monster hunter called Fergus Ferguson?
Perhaps.
So then now I know that Fergus Ferguson stole King Fatma's crown.
Hmm. But would you be able to catch him, though? That's the difference between you and I.
I have the ability to put out word to the
Hmm.
King's Guard. We have traders come through here periodically, and they often have King's Guard with them to protect the vans. I'd be happy to let them know who shared this valuable information with me.
And yet, Fergus Ferguson is very aware of when the King's Guard are beginning to close in on him, and he always just manages to escape at the last minute. This needs delicacy.
I think she needs to know what you want her to do with this information.
Mm. I think what I intend to for her to do is more or less keep eyes on like the goings about town, like who comes into town, who comes out. Perhaps just it's more of an exchange of information rather than I am having her do anything because I don't think she knew like it was Fergus Ferguson that stole the crown, quote unquote.
Right.
So this is more or less me trying to get information from her what she knows about Fergus Ferguson.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, she's
Tit for
happy to keep
tat.
her ear to the ground
Mm-hmm.
and keep you in close confidence hereafter.
Mm-hmm.
And should you have to return to Saltburg during your journeys to replenish and refresh, she may have learned new things. As a token of your new arrangement, she gives you a bottle of oil. She says, "It seems a simple thing, oil, but nothing is more useful in a place where everything corrodes. Indeed, where the things that terrorize you at night are corroded themselves." You can add that to your found equipment.
Nice.
I want to go back to the bar. I need to remind myself what it's called here. Jug and Coin, I think. The Jug and the Crown. So you've met these four mercenaries for hire, one of which is Fergus Ferguson, Vaso, and Cassian. They all have very striking appearances in their way. One of them is like a reptilian creature. One of them has like a really horrible scar. Another is a woman who's hulking, bigger even than Alicio. And Fergus Ferguson himself, he has a large shard of something embedded in his skull. He says, "So what say you? Do you wish to hire me and my companions? Do you wish to take us with you into the rifts?"
How much do you charge?
Work is a little light at the moment, and so I suspect any one of us would work for much less than what you would normally expect to find a hireling for in Galgenbeck or Ambret, say.
Very well. What about half of what you find?
You can each hire up to one of them. Like you can each hire one of them. You don't have to hire all of them. If you do, you will make them according to the Trophy Gold hireling rules. But because they are cheap, they're going for cheap. You can make them, and then they will cost one burden less than normal. That's the hard mechanical way this is going to go. The in fiction way is, yeah, they agree to actually to take a very small cut of whatever you find. They don't need much for their upkeep, and they prefer to stay together, but they understand if you can't afford all four of them. Let's just keep having the scene. So, what are you doing, Cassian?
But watching this conversation unfold just it is simple, just like smile on Cassian's face, watching the exchange. He'll cut in, fellows, if you don't mind my asking, we are ourselves and the companions we traveled with new to this salted land. What troubles have made you so desperate to go back out there for so cheap, frankly speaking.
You are pressing forward in pursuit of two different goals here: rumors and hiring or not hiring mercenaries. Go
One
ahead and
might say.
make a hunt roll.
Yeah, would love to. Could I say that my skill in persuasion is useful here of getting them
course.
to open up? Love it. Okay, that is a hunt roll too light. 6.
6. Take your token. Keep it. Let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
I think the man who had very beautiful aquiline features and would be quite striking if not for his quite badly scarred with acid face. He approaches you and he says, "Well, for a start, in the rifts, they do not have rivers of water. They have rivers of acid." And he points to his face.
Oh, dear me, that is most troublesome indeed. Would you say that the acid, when it burned your flesh, would you say it felt akin to a fire, or was it too painful to even feel?
In truth, the pain was sharp and sudden, but suddenly gone.
Mm.
As the flesh burned away, so did my feeling there. It is the singular mercy in that moment, as I recall it. But to answer your question more precisely, people don't often wish to go into the rifts because of the incredible dangers, such as rivers of acid. That's why work has been so light as of late. But there's only one reason why you and your friends could be here in Saltburg, and that's because you intend to go into the rifts.
That would be a true and accurate read on our intentions, sir.
My name is Drathamar.
Cassian, and this is my dear traveling companion, Mr. Basso.
Hmm. And I think the woman in the armor, she's still wearing her helmet and everything. She hasn't even taken her helmet off. She stands up, and when she stands up from the table, she's enormous. I mean, we're talking Brienne of Tarth. She's huge, right? She's got a sword that's as tall as any of you. And she says, "I am Liselot, the Lion's Maiden. Tell me, sir," to you, Basso, "would you have need of a strong arm in the rifts? A strong arm and a long sword."
I I suppose we could. I suppose we could have any strength that we could have. And he's just terrified of her.
Indeed. We'll come back to this scene. Alicio, you never found your job board, but you do hear at near the entrance to the town, those two shops, the best defense and the good offense. You do hear the clang, clang, clanging of iron being worked at the forge, and it's from the good from the one you'll hear clang, 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 and then the other seems to respond like it's trying to outdo the other. Clang, 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 clang. And then you hear the hissing of water. And then you hear more hissing of water. Clang, clang. There's something going on over there. What do you do?
Yeah, I think that's a comforting sound to him. And he's always, wanting to look at what the scariest weapons are. Not that he can afford them necessarily, but window shopping. So yeah, I think he'll go take a look at what's going on there.
Yeah, you will see. Well, first at the best defense, it's an armor and shield forge from the wooden sign depicting a shield hanging from it. The blacksmith, Kandra Blackfinger, she is going to town on what appears to be a gorget, just kind of beating it, into shape. And Yeah, well, and then across the way, like directly across the way, is the weaponsmith, who somebody would have told you is called Barrack Gorebeard, and he's over there hammering out a sword to flatness, and they keep looking at each other, and when Kandra takes a little break, Barrack calls over, "Getting tired already? Blackfinger? No surprise." Clang, clang, clang. Blackfinger says, "I think not," and she gets up and she begins wailing away. What are you doing?
I think I'm just sort of observing it. I don't think he necessarily interjects, but I just kind of want to look at um especially the armor that they're making. Does it look like how does it
Good.
look? Does it look fancy? Interesting?
You can certainly go ahead and make a hunt roll, since you are
Mhm.
pursuing this particular goal of looking at
Yes,
all the items that are for sale.
exactly. Uh, Hunt roll. That's one light and one for a skill, is that correct?
You have to, if you have a relevant skill, otherwise it's just one die.
Can I argue that my skill of destruction also like enables me to see either what will protect
Weak
me
points
from
and
it
things,
or
yeah, that's
what
good.
will,
Yeah, I like
yeah.
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I know weaponry, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's a good
armor.
reverse use of the skill. Yeah,
Okay.
2 dice,
5.
5. The something terrible would be pretty light here. Go ahead and take your token. I think as you're looking at the armor, it does all seem like it's really good armor, actually. Barrack will call over. "Well, if you're gonna buy that piece of shit armor, you better have a good sword." Clang, 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 clang. And then Kendra goes, "Well, then they better go somewhere else to find it." Clang, clang, clang. But now you're in a bit of a position where if you do buy some armor, you might also have to buy a sword, or at least talk your way out of not buying a sword.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I wanna I wanna try something. And I think this is sort of maybe Eliseo having seen Nevin and Cassian do this thing before. Like this is not an Eliseo idea. He's trying to
No.
imitate something here. Can I try to kind of play them against each other so they'll give me something? Like basically be like, like, no, I believe you. Like that is such a bad sword. But if they see like me with your armor, like try to leverage that.
You want to
Okay.
neg your way into a discount?
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. What do you that's good. If you succeed, you can define what you get from them, right?
Mhm.
At a good deal. Um, yeah. Okay, I'm into this. This will be a risk roll. Um, I'll grab the text of the risk roll for you, since as the player, you are responsible for running the risk roll, as we are regularly being reminded here. All right, let's put this into chat for you. Read that. I'm going to hit back over to the shop real quick. The sagacious, safe and sagacious. Nevin, there's nothing else to do in the shop. Are you
Yeah, that's
satisfied?
fair.
You
Yeah.
want to head over to the bar or what?
I'm probably gonna head out, just take a look at like what the main thoroughway like has and whatnot. Perhaps pass by Eliseo on the way.
Yeah. I think like there'll even be a couple of like Saltburgians who are like standing around because they kind of find the rivalry between the two Smiths to be very funny, and so they're
I
kind
as I think both as like a general matter, like Nevin finds like it probably pretty funny as well. So it is standing amongst the Saltburgians,
right.
just watch her.
So Basso and Cassian, yeah, I mean, let's just keep that scene going. So Lieselot has presented herself to you, Basso, and you maybe are having a bit of a connection with the scarred guy. Cassian, what are your thoughts here?
Um, I am, of course, interested in this scarred guy, but my eyes cannot help but wander to the two gentlemen we've spoken the least to, this Fergus and this reptilian creature.
Hmm. Fergus Ferguson and Cat Eater is the name of the reptilian creature. And Cat Eater kind of like shifts his head to the side. He doesn't look directly at you because he's reptilian. He's like to the side, his eyeballs on the side of his head, right? So he's got this like yellow eye, like kind of looking at you. And he says, "So what say you, friend? I may not have the strength of our dear lion's maiden, or the tactical brilliance of Mr. Ferguson. But wherever I need to put my two daggers, wherever I decide they need to go, they go unerringly."
Oh, quite a useful skill, certainly. And from so striking a figure.
Yes.
Well, good fellows, I can only speak on account of myself, but I would see any of you as an asset to take out into the rifts.
Fergus says, "You will, of course, want the most legendary monster hunter among us." And he taps at that shard in his skull. "Only someone with my grit and determination could survive being struck by a wyvern's stinger and take a piece of the creature with me.
Why do you not take it out?
The physicers tell me that I will die if they take it out of me."
Does it provide any benefit to you, aside from not dying?
But wouldn't you say it was rather striking? Good conversation piece, you might say.
I suppose one could look at it in that light. I wouldn't call that a benefit.
"Let me ask you, sir," to Cassian, "is everyone in your troop so filled with good cheer and humor?"
Oh, yes, I think I've come into a most agreeable company. He's looking at Liselot now and being like, "You quite remind me of a fellow in our party goes by Alicio. I think the two of you would get along very swimmingly."
"Is he a small fellow?"
Oh, no, quite the opposite.
"Then we shall not get along swimmingly, sir. I like 'em small."
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah, I think Cassie just nods enthusiastically. I'll say that I'm definitely interested in grabbing a hireling. Cassian probably would want to grab Drathamar just because I seem to have struck up a bit of a rapport with him.
Perhaps, Cassian, we should tentatively hire the entire party and confer with our colleagues.
Oh, yes, of course. I would be very keen to make sure that the proper introductions are laid out. Gentles and fair, he gestures at least a lot in the reptile, and he goes, what would you say to a round of drinks on me? And we can confer more seriously once our other two traveling companions have joined us here at the tavern.
Cat Eater says, "I never turn down a free drink." And he grabs his current mug of ale with his teeth and slings his neck and head up, and just all of the ale just drains down his gullet. And he drops the thing and it clangs to the floor.
Cassian just grinned like a dummy.
Let's go to this scene of the blacksmiths. Okay, so I'm into this, Alicio. Guide us through the move here, or the roll.
Yes. So I'm supposed to ask all of you what could go wrong.
They, instead of going against each other to support and ended up supporting you, they end up thinking that you're like this weird outsider starting up shit in their place and kick you out.
Yeah, I was thinking something very similar of just like, yeah, they realize
You
that
unify them.
you're unifying them.
I
And,
did. I do
but,
it.
but as part of that, they're just like, great, we're not doing business with you or anyone you came into town with.
I think in a sort of opposite manner, because like the fight, this is the day that it finally breaks out into actual violence, and
No.
Alicio gets wrapped up in it just by sheer proximity.
And there's a bunch of like Saltburgians around too, so this is not good. I like it. Those feel like good possible stakes. I'm into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, then I can take a light die if the task is something you are skilled at,
Yes.
because of my occupation, background, or if I have equipment. I would kind of like to go either with I have the skill of distraction, and
Yeah,
I
let's
feel
do it.
like
Yeah,
me.
it makes sense. Yeah, you've got
Yeah.
one light die.
And then I can get another if I accept a devil's bargain. So I would love to hear some.
No matter what, no matter how this shakes out, whether you bamboozle them or whether this ends up in a big like chaotic mess, you all will not be able to unmark armor in Saltburg again because they will not help you. That's a hard bargain, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard.
that-
I'm
that's
thinking
really
That's
hard.
real tempting though, because
Uh,
that's like a road to ruin.
No. Here's my alternative. No matter what, you're gonna have to pay up 1 gold for either the
services rendered.
services rendered
Oh, so
or
so it's the burden increase plus a gold.
Mhm,
Oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah.
Ooh, I have like a loose thought, but I haven't fully articulated yet, so I don't know.
These are horrible devil's bargains. I wouldn't take any of them so far.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to think
waiting
of more.
for Amanda or Alex to speak up because I'm like, I don't know about these, man.
No matter what, you find out that the person you are dealing with, the person that does help you, is an enemy of the Piper.
That's fuck you. You articulated what I
Yeah.
was trying to say. Okay, then I'll go a different route. I'll say just no matter what, one of the Saltburgians observing the scene is going to try and rob you later.
Oh God, no, those are both really
there's a
funny.
pickpocket in the crowd.
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, let's go with being robbed. I mean, I think I look like that should happen to me at some point anyway.
Yeah, I can keep it pretty simple. They like lift something small from you, I think, if you take that
Yeah.
one.
I'll take that. I don't think I'm risking body or mind, even if it turns to violence. I'm probably gonna be pretty fine. Other people not, but me, I should be fine, I think.
We can always escalate.
So yeah. So 2 light for now. There we go. A 6 and a 1.
Nice. Here's your offer I'm going to make. Basically, you can tell me what it looks like, but what you will have achieved is you can get either a sword or a piece of armor for no burden, or you can get one of each for 1 burden.
Oh.
And she has ranged weapons too, so not just or he has ranged weapons too, not just martial ones.
For the
melee
people
ones.
listening, just so you know, Alicio has 5 burdens right now, so this is.
I mean, a free
Nice.
armor would be
Yeah.
pretty great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for a free armor because that's really good.
So what does the scene look like? How do you like get this good deal?
I think it's sort of, I like the thing that he kind of like stands there, like just brooding and intimidating for a moment. And then I spot Nevin in the crowd. And that's sort of when you can see, like, you can see the idea forming because I feel like you're like more talking, you're a trickster.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go to the one making the armor and I think I'll just, do like the jovial lean, just looming over this person probably, and I'll be like, um, I am here to hunt down the biggest monster you have. Now I can do that in this, or I can do that in what you make. And then we'll see what he says. And I like nod my head at the
Yeah,
other
and
person.
he will say something like, "Oh, your armor is already like in
Mhm.
far better condition than anything you'll be able to get from her. What you really need is this right here." And he pulls out a big war hammer or something, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you like end up getting a good deal on the armor when it's all said and done?
I think basically the same thing. I'm like, I go with the weapon, right? And I'm like,
She's
something
like,
like,
wait. Yeah, yeah. And she like tries to stop
yeah,
you.
like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even think I say anything. I just like make kind of a show of walking past, and she just saw me like get it, and
yeah.
everybody's looking, and it's like I don't even say anything, so it's like their idea, but I'm like making a show of it, so I get.
I love it. It's so good. Very, very good. Regrettably, regrettably, in the crowd while this was all going on, someone managed to lift your bag of fool's gold, thinking they got a really great score.
Yeah, good luck for them.
Remove that, but you do get to add an armor. What type of armor are you going to take?
Ooh, let's see. I already have a helmet, full plate, and a shield. So what can we add to that? Let's do studded gauntlets.
Hmm, good. Nevin, while that's all going on, I think like somebody in the crowd, a Saltburgian, will say, "So are you and your companions heading out to the rifts?" This person is a kind of a small young guy. He looks a little too kind of wiry and weak to be an adventurer, but uh, and he's got that hard kind of leathery look of everybody in this land because of all the salt.
Uh, yes.
Well, I happen to know something of great importance. I'd be happy to share it with you for just a single piece of silver, which is nothing to you
Yeah.
mechanically, Nevin. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pay up.
Yeah.
Um,
He takes the silver, he bites it to make sure it's real. He says, "Well, I assume you're going in to find and kill the Cantagaster. That's what most people coming through here are trying
yes.
to do. I know the secret to killing the Cantagaster. You have to destroy the crown of salt."
Hmm. But, well, it's a bit of a problem for me and my companions because we want the crown of salt.
Then you shall have to leave the Cantagaster alive.
Hmm.
It is one or the other, I'm afraid. I know because my ancestors were there when that benighted crown was first placed on the Cantagaster's head.
Really? That long ago?
Yes. I better go now. Thank you for this. Best of luck to you.
Interesting, interesting.
You can all wander to
Hmm. Yeah.
collect at the bar at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think as like Nevin is entering the bar with Alicio, very impressed with like how Alicio handled that scene.
Which is funny because he's very embarrassed about it.
It would have been what Nevin would have done,
That's
honestly.
why he's embarrassed about it.
Oh, uh, just seeing Ferguson, I think like like Nevin's eye does a little bit of a twitch, but still like a sort of a smile comes across his face as he sees the scene of like Cassian and crew drinking with this other hunter group.
Just as a quick check-in, Basso, are you still keeping the crow in your bag?
Yes.
Okay, just want to clarify that. So you still have this
I'm
crow in your.
sneaking. I sneak some food into the bag
Okay.
for him. I've poked some holes so it can breathe.
Do you
I sneak
occasionally
some
open
food
it
in there.
to feed him?
I mean, I think I sort of push food into one of
Yeah.
the holes that I've made so that it's.
Uh,
I don't want it to get out and get hurt in this place. Like
I
it's
think
already.
Fergus will lean over your shoulder and he'll say, "What is that you've got there?"
A bird.
A bird. You keep it in a bag.
I have need of this bird for reasons. It must stay alive until I.
Aye,
I can do what I need.
a bird in the bag is worth two in the bush.
Yes. Thank you, Cassian.
Fergus says, "Can I ask what type of bird it is?"
Why are you so interested? Are you a bird person?
I always look to the sky, ever since a wyvern flew down and embedded this in my skull. And looking to the skies made me very sensitive and appreciative of the creatures that live up there.
It's a crow.
Liar! Liar!
As far as I know.
Fergus says, "Ah. Well, I
Have
think
you
you're up."
encountered any other strange specimens, strange flora and fauna within this area that
In
could
truth, we
be of
haven't
interest
been.
to somebody who studies?
In truth, we haven't been here too long.
Hmm.
Liar!
The bird seems to think that you have been here quite some time.
Birds grackle and
Oh.
cackle all sorts of nonsense, don't they?
Cassian from like the next table over goes, "Oh, come now, boss. So that bird's been saying lie ever since we encountered it out of town. It can't be just saying everything that we've been saying is a lie now, can it? Surely it does not speak ill of the Master Ferguson's intentions."
Or understand our language.
Exactly.
Perhaps. Nonetheless, we are here to discuss business. These are our fellow travelers, Nevin and Eliseo. Nevin, Eliseo, this is Fergus Ferguson. Cat Eater, I believe.
Liselot and Drathamar.
Yeah, Drathamar and Liselot.
The Lion's Maiden.
Yes.
Liselot walks up to Eliseo and she says, looking down at you slightly, "Yes, you are rather big."
I think ever like since entering and having seen Ferguson, I have just gone like fully like,
Uma Thurman, Kill
brooding
Bill.
anger, like just
Yeah.
like, oh, I cannot just kill this man in this bar. But it's just like a storm is just brewing. And I think that sort of like snaps me out of it a little. And I think I just look up, kind of surprised, like literally we see like the camera, like going up.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And I think he just looks at her and then, like, looking her straight in the eye, he says, "We don't need any of them."
Oh.
Oh, come now, Alicia. Where's your sense of camaraderie on these harsh endeavors?
There's enough camaraderie as it is.
I wouldn't be so hasty to jump the gun on that. Look, I am more than willing to take upon an aid, but I will not speak to the desires of my companions or persuade them otherwise.
Nevin, what is your opinion on this matter?
Well, I've heard reputation about the sort of famous Ferguson. You did take down a wyvern, I heard. Very impressive.
This is that's why I am, in some parts, a very well regarded monster hunter.
But Alicio, I know that you're very ascertain that it's just us because, well, a small group is quick and fast and sneaky. However, more hands make for more grabbing of items, more treasure.
I don't believe that's the saying it's all, Nevin. I think it's more hands make lighter work, is what you've intended to say.
And none of you are as quick and fast and sneaky as me.
Snaps his fingers and points at Cat Eater with a look to his group, being like, see?
Eliseo just kind of like sits back. The chair like creaks under the weight of the armor and the salt kind of rubbing, and he says, "Do as you please, as will I."
Lieselot sits down and the chair actually cracks a little bit.
Jason, you're going to kill Jazzy.
Who is hiring a hireling?
I will definitely hire Drathamar.
I will.
Drathamar or Cat Eater?
Drathamar.
Drathamar, okay.
Mm-hmm.
If no one else will, I will hire Ferguson.
Yes.
I would like to hire a cat eater.
Yes.
We're
Alicia,
leaving my wife behind.
That's your choice.
Are we,
choice.
Jazzy?
Are we, Jazzy? Are
You're
we?
so mean. I don't think Eliseo will. I can't
Oh.
afford more burdens, y'all.
That's fair.
I'm
Okay.
so poor.
I'm actually going to hire two. I will hire Lieselot and Cat Eater. I will take on those
wow.
burdens.
That's a big hire. Can you do two hirelings? I guess you can. I don't know.
I mean,
Let me pull up the rules.
Jesse Roth isn't here to tell me I'm wrong.
We're going to take a long break, so that we can make these hirelings, since we've got that sorted. That is also all of the secals sorted. So
Hey.
we'll be back. We're going to pause here. We're going to fast forward a little bit. You've hired all four of them then? Is that the idea? Okay. All four are hired. They, you can find rooms in town for the night. I'm not interested in role-playing all that. You've met all the secals. And the next morning, you can head out to the rifts, inside of which somewhere is this temple. Inside of the temple is the Cantagaster. Leaving behind Saltburg, the first day is embraced by a petrified forest. Tattered cloth leads the way to the descent. Indeed, the path is not carved out, but it is marked pretty clearly. Red cloths have been tied to trees periodically, always visible from each other, or the next one's always visible, so you know which way to go. Very handy. That's the benefit of other people having come here and attempted this over the years. And so finding the rifts is no trouble. It is a bit of a hike, though. So you're all on foot because animals do not do well out here. For starters, there's nothing to water them with. And so you're all on foot. It's slow going. You're trudging through this salt. Just as a quick kind of a paint the scene thing, I guess. As you're kind of trudging through, how can you tell that this salt that's everywhere is doing a real number on your gear and maybe your body?
The crunching isn't underfoot anymore, at least not exclusively. when our limbs move about, we hear the crunching of the salt getting in between bits of armor and just on our skin just being slightly encrusted.
It's just the constant like salty mineral stench of the air feels almost like cool and drying as we breathe it in, giving us like a faint migraine, but also just like drying out our airways a little bit.
The metals in the armors that we're wearing are screeching. The plates are screeching against each other, and all of our faces are ashy.
And I think that over time, it kind of smells the same. It smells like salty and iron. And then there's a point where we realize it's not just salt we're smelling, it's blood.
Cassian, Drathamar kind of falls back to walk alongside you at one point, and he says, "So tell me, Mr. Cassian, what is it you seek in all of this? I find that most treasure hunters, well, there is a certain undeniable compulsion that forces them to go into these terrible places. What is yours?"
Well, we are in each of our own ways driven. I would say that it depends on the wider meaning, the beliefs that we all hold. For what brings me here to these salted lands, well, I am seeking to repay a debt to ensure a life that it can continue being lived. Broader than that, you might laugh, Mr. Drathamar, but I do what I do in the name of love.
How surprisingly charming.
I
Tell me of
spent. Go ahead.
your lady love, or sir love, I suppose.
My betrothed requests a bit of discretion. I can hardly fault them. After all, to be betrothed to a poet is to invite words to be flown out from the other's mouth, penned in ink to describe all of the ways that they evoke feelings within. I've been politely asked to keep my tongue bitten back a little more in that regard. But it was for this reason that I ventured forth, spent many long years alone out there, a hermit, and I simply became frankly weary of it all. I sought things that I had thought to be unshackled from myself, and in doing so, found companionship. You might call me a bit of a bleeding heart, Mr. Drathamar, but frankly, I'm searching for the one gift my betrothed craves most of all.
Well, with any luck, it's salt.
Yes, it's a good one, Mr. Drathamar. But no, not what I'm seeking here.
I myself, I care nothing for the Cantigaster. I care nothing for salt, that's certainly true, for sure. I seek something else. A grimoire that is supposed to be hidden somewhere in this temple. The grimoire of the Forgotten King. In
I
particular, the grimoire of the Forgotten King's sorcerer.
I was not aware of this part of the legend. You've taken an interest in the occult and the arcane, then.
I am a seeker of knowledge, I would say. I very much want to reach down into the dark and hidden places of the world and pull forth, wriggling and thrashing whatever is hiding down there, and hold it tight in my hands and
Well,
master it.
Indeed, a noble enough endeavor, but it reminds me of a bit of prose I was once fond of. Can't claim authorship to it myself, but it is admired. There are things that have learned to walk that ought to crawl. Think on that.
The journey is long, but mostly unremarkable throughout the day. The rest of you can have any scenes that you wish. If somebody wants a particular scene, just let me know.
I want a particular scene just between Alicio and Lisa, a lot of them just being silent and brooding.
Carefully judging each other's
preemptive wish?
weapons.
Yeah.
I feel like they're basically playing out the best defense and the good offense, but in like a understated,
Quiet, understated way.
yeah, like we're walking and there is like that little bit like whose footfall is like heavier and stronger, but we're not making like a scene of it, but it's like a little bit there.
Indeed. Yeah, I like that. That's good enough for me. Basso, any scene?
Like to have a chat with Cat Eater.
Okay, good.
I got
Cat Eater
interested in his
is
old
kind of functions as a
thing.
scout. He goes ahead a lot
Ah,
to make sure everything's cool, and then he comes back. And so maybe you can catch him on one of his
yeah.
trips back.
Tell me, Mr. Cat Eater,
Yes.
you are not from around here?
No, no, I am not. My clutch. We were born in a mountain far to the south from here. Far, far to the south from here. You don't often see folk like me around these parts. The Saltburgians are surprisingly welcoming. You might expect such a salt-blasted and grubby little people to be prejudiced against people who were different from them, but they were not.
That is comforting to know.
If anyone had had the temerity to say something about my yellow eyes or my scaly skin, it would have been the last thing they spoke with their tongue, which would no longer be in their mouth.
You do seem very formidable. Are all of your people the same in terms of strength and capacity for violence? I do mean that as a compliment, of course.
Of course not. We have our artisans and poets like anyone else. I am a wanderer, though. I am a wanderer, and I'm good at what I do. And what I do is get into places I'm not supposed to be.
And how do your scales fare in this salt? I do not ask to be impertinent or to get into your business, so to speak, but, well, you see, I have not always looked the way I look. I have an interest in how other people experience their lives.
He kind of his reptilian eyes are not particularly easy to read. They don't make a lot of gestures. They mostly just clack open and close. But he does manage to pull his lips into a grin, revealing more of his serrated teeth. And he says, I deal with the salt very carefully. And then he just goes ahead to his next scouting.
Baza just nods approvingly.
Nevin, do you want a scene?
Yeah, let's have a chat with Fergus Ferguson.
He says, so I am led to believe that Mr. Alicio is a monster hunter as well.
Indeed.
Funny. I have not heard of him. Is that because he is not a monster hunter of any renown?
Oh, more the more what I can ascertain is fairly new to this business.
Ah,
Everyone starts somewhere,
a little wet behind the gills.
Mhm.
Well, he shall get his blade
Mhm. Yes,
bloodied soon enough.
but honestly, your reputation precedes you to the point where sometimes I myself have been mistaken for you with your striking hair color.
There are not many red-headed people in these lands, this is true. I mostly go unremarked upon because people get distracted by my lizard companion.
Mhm. Yes, I can definitely tell that. If I want that you are yourself are quite remarkable in your own regard. But with all these sort of remarkable attributes, why haven't you come out here with your own group? Why be hired by us?
Well, I find that I like to hedge my bets.
Hmm.
I prefer a dependable revenue stream, income, whether we kill a monster or not. Do you catch my meaning?
Yes.
Hmm.
Side chat, y'all.
I don't know what's going on in chat. I'm not looking at it.
Mm. Yes, typically my business is not with monster hunting, but more with treasure, physical goods.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because sometimes the death of a creature just means the death of a creature you have a body to deal with. But whatever gold, on the other hand, that's tenable.
Oh, so then you would have no particular interest in the head of the Cantagaster should we be able to claim it.
I'm more interested in the crown that the Cantagaster guards.
And I am interested in the head. I think
Eh,
we are well met companions.
uh, I wouldn't say that per se, because I've heard a bit of a rumor while I was in town that one could take the crown, but could not get the head of the Cantagaster. But if one were to get the head of the Cantagaster, one cannot get the crown.
Hmm. People say all sorts of foolish things. Did
Oh,
this information come as part of a transaction?
yes,
Then I would like to suggest that you got.
but it's still, even lies do have a bit of a grain of truth to them. It's just more to figure out what is. Perhaps it's just more about that the Cantagaster has great regard for the crown. So if we find one, we could find the other. But we shall see.
I like to handle things in the moment, deal with things as they arise. Tell me, do you think Alicia would appreciate a bit of mentorship from a more seasoned monster hunter such as myself?
Truth be told, I think the reason that Alicia was hesitant to bring you on is that you are a bit intimidating.
Intimidating. Yes, yes, I
Yeah,
get that. I get that. I shall smooth the way between us before long.
but good.
The journey is, apart from it's slow but unremarkable, and eventually Cat Eater comes back, having pointed out, found a place for you all to sleep at night, a good defensible position.
Mhm.
with a bit of rock wall at your back. And that is your next set goal. Your next set goal is to survive the night. The others can get the fire ready. That's what they're here for, things like that. Certainly Drathamar knows how to start a fire. Tricky, since all the wood is petrified, but happily you can find enough salt moss and other things to pile up to get something going. Fortunately, it's not that cold. It looks like snow, but it's not. It's salt. As you're all kind of getting ready to rest for the evening, dig into your rations, maybe sing a song, read a poem, whatever you do to entertain yourself around the campfire, you might notice that a piece of your equipment has become irreversibly corroded by the salt. Everyone needs to roll a dark die. If you get a 6 on that dark die, something of your equipment is gone and no longer usable from corrosion.
Okay, I'm good. 3.
A 5.
A 1.
How'd you do, Basso?
Wait, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you for some
Oh.
reason.
Oh, yeah, no,
There you go.
your mic
Okay.
wasn't picking it up.
Yeah. No, it's if for some reason it's not rolling for me, so I'm just reloading the thing. I'm gonna actually just roll it in a risk and see if that'll work. There we go. I got a 6.
Oh,
Very good. And in that case, I shall go and see what you are going to lose, Basso. What might be harmed badly by the salt? I'm gonna roll a die. Roll a dark die for me, Basso.
Yeah, that's another 6.
Okay. It's your jagged sawtooth blade. You have no weapon. Unless, of course, you want to pull some oil from your pack or get some oil from Nevin to treat your blade so it's usable.
Nevin, do you have any extra oil?
Yes.
I require just a small amount, enough to repair my blade so that I can be properly armed when we fight. Other people, I mean, not you and I.
Oh, of course. How much is that worth to you?
I will not give up the bird if that is what you're trying to convince me to do.
Well, you do
How
have
does a
other things.
favor sound?
Favor. Ooh. What sort of favor I could be given by Basso?
I owe you one. Sometime in the future, when you have need? Does that sound reasonable?
Oh, okay. Yes, that sounds reasonable. I will take this favor and I will think of the most interesting way to apply it, just so to make sure that favors owed to me in the future are deeply considered upon. It's
I
easier to pay gold
assume
than
that you
pay
are
back
going to
babes.
be. I assume that you are going to treat me as a friend and a colleague in this matter.
Of course, I would make you do anything too repulsive. Nothing that I wouldn't myself do.
Very well. I think I'm just going to take a condition. Owes Nevin a favor.
Yeah, I'm into that. Nevin, you have your bottle of oil has 3 uses, and you've spent one to help Basso. Who's going to do first watch? It can be one of the hirelings, or it can be one of you.
It will absolutely be Eliseo.
It'll absolutely be Eliseo, yeah. 100%.
Absolutely not these people. And I think we actually we see him sit down, like that heavy, like 2 twin-bladed axe thuds on the ground. His stud gauntlets I'm looking kind of at Ferguson, who's maybe just picking wood or doing something else, and there's just the tightening around it for a moment. And then I will sort of just position myself near the fire so I can take watch.
We have 2 proposed entertainments as everyone falls asleep, everyone except Eliseo. Drathamar is happy to recite some histories of the lineages of King Fatmu and other royal personages. Lieselot is very much not into that. You get the distinct impression she hates King Fatmu. Or poetry from Cassian, which was not offered by Cassian necessarily, but someone else did.
The devil, it's got to be Cassian.
I vote not Cassian.
I think Nevin was the one who suggested that it was Cassian.
I'm going whichever way this. I love this.
Tell us, what is your poem about?
What? Me? Okay. What is my poem about? It's about, well, to be frank, it's about salt. It is a poem about preservation. Yeah. To get a little more specific and flowery, I guess, cool, off the old dome. It is about this is more of a fable than a poem, but I guess it can be poetic, about a woman who loves her youthful beauty so much that she buries herself in a land of salt to preserve herself, to forever remain as youthful and beautiful as she was. However, it doesn't go exactly to plan. And I think she in the drying out process, not like a literal drying out, but all of the virtues that accentuated her beauty, her personality, is literally siphoned away from her, leaving her a beautiful and pale husk.
You might get a little bit of ribbing and jeering from the crowd, because probably salt is the last thing people want to think about right now. If there's anyone here who wants to suggest that something in the poem is an omen, they can take it as an omen, which is good for a light die and a future die roll. You just have to say what the omen is.
Do we need to say it now or when we roll next time?
I'd like to know what it is now so that you can note the specific omen on your character sheet. Yeah.
I do take it as an omen because I know we can all do our own omens.
You can all do your own omen. Yeah.
Bazo, in the poem, the thing he's taking as an omen is that the salt in this area can physically transform permanently your features, which is something he wants, but under very particular circumstances.
You can note that in your found equipment. It's worth a light die if it applies to a situation in the future. Any other omens?
I think I'm taking this general theme of the poem of this lady being buried in salt. I think salt has buried a lot of history here.
Even though
That's a
I'm the
good
one
one.
reciting the poem, I have a thought. It's an omen not from the poem itself, but from my perspective, the audience reaction rather per se, um, being just kind of like the disconcerting nature of salt, and like rather just like the way that it's like there's like a discomfort in I don't know how to phrase this in a way that makes sense, but it's like I'm trying to go for like something from like the way that everyone reacted to the little poem is my omen.
And I think Elisio's omen is not necessarily the words itself, but I think as Cassian is speaking, there's sort of like one, dramatic Robert Egger style still where you're talking and your tongue is just like completely white with salt
Oh, good. Yeah,
for
I
a
like it.
moment. And like
Yeah,
that kind of
nice.
like the salt in the message, yeah.
Fantastic. Those are all very good omens. Thank you. Yeah, at any time in the future, if the omen feels relevant to what's going on in some way, you get an extra light die on a connected roll. So, the first watch. Everyone's asleep, Alicio. There's only going to be two watches, and you're the first one. And I think that it's a pretty uneventful watch. I do want to know about your drive. And in particular, I'd like to know like what we see you doing that kind of reflects your drive.
All right. So my drive is to free the kindly followers of the Piper. And I think like as I just sit there and it's like very much, like everything is quiet. There's like the white layer of salt, the fire is crackling, everything is crunchy and crackling, and I'm sitting there, weapon ready, the shadows dancing over my face. And the question that the card asked was, what except for money will be needed to free these followers? And I am sitting here watching because what is needed is a message that I once knew but no longer remember. And I'm like sort of sitting here in this salt, maybe replaying Cassian's words, looking almost as if looking for an epiphany, as if in this silent night it might come to me. I might remember. I'm trying to dig deeper, but it like starts to jumble fragments of fire, of white snow, of blood red, like bouncing up on it, sharp steel, the screeching of monsters, and I can't remember. And I just sit there and I try because I have to.
I love it. Your watch passes. Who do you wake up for next watch?
Um, Basso, you're gonna be cranky about it, but reliable.
It's the best choice.
Bazo, your watch. Please roll a dark die.
It's a 5.
Ah, you are on watch and you hear a very familiar sound. Oh, oh. There are tarnished hounds near. What do you do?
I think I douse the fire a bit so that it's not like it's still kind of keeping us a little warm. 'Cause it's not cold, but it's not warm either. It's nighttime. But that it's a lot lower and harder to see. and I think I set up some barriers around the fire so that it's not as visible. And I take out my newly oiled sawtooth blade and go on the watch. I whisper to my bird friend, who is my friend now. I've decided. Crow, there are wolves, hounds, tarnished hounds about. I ask you to be quiet if you can.
I
Well, it was worth a try.
This is going to be a risk roll, I would say, to avoid the notice of the tarnished hounds. I think the way you've described it, at least, that's what's happening. Guide us through the roll, but you only get to call on one person for each thing.
What call on one person for each thing for oh got you. Yeah, I'm following what you say. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will get a light die if I can justify one of my skills or my background, anything like that. I have skills in deduction, and I think I'm using that to deduce from the sound which direction they are most likely to be coming from.
And I think there's
so I
only
know
one
which way
bad
to-
outcome here, right? Is
Yeah.
they descend upon
Oh,
you,
yeah.
right? So yeah.
And what could go wrong here, of course,
Yeah.
and that's I just assumed it would be that we get attacked in the middle of the night by
Right.
tarnish hounds.
Indeed.
I don't think I get a dark die because I'm not really risking myself at the moment. I think if we get attacked, that's a little bit different. So I have my one light die. I am very happy to accept a devil's bargain. Jazzy, what do you have?
I think no matter what, I don't quite know how to phrase this, but I like that you're talking to the bird and you already have like a thing of the bird in you, right? So I think no matter what, like that bond will become more feral or more strong as you do indeed like form this connection to stop this.
Me and my bestie, the bird? Yes, absolutely. I will take that.
You have 2 light. See what you got.
All right, let's go. 2 light die. I have a 4.
I will tell you the complication first before you decide on adding a dark die. You succeed in not attracting the entire pack's attention, but you will have to deal with one scout.
I think I'm gonna take that because my rune's up, my burdens are high. I got all these hirelings to deal with. I think I'm just gonna take it and try and fight this one thing.
Can someone remind me from the bestiary what their endurance is?
8, I believe.
I will tell you that you have discovered the thing's weakness by brandishing your recently oiled sword at it. Oil is their weakness, and so as long as you have oil in the fight, you reduce their endurance by 1, so it's only a 7. Do you want to combat this thing by yourself, like kind of lead it away from the camp and kill it, or what? What do you want to do here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go too far from the camp. I want to make sure that I keep in eye contact in case somebody wakes up or in case there's more things that surround the camp. But I am going to try and lead it slightly away so that if it, screams or yells out to its friends, it's not going to immediately descend upon us.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to just kind of fast forward a bit. I like the idea of the pack moves on, but you're aware of the one that's hung back, and you're now kind of like, I guess are you openly trying to like guide it away? Are you sneaking away or making noise somewhere? What are you doing?
I think I am. I am openly trying to guide it away. Making sure that my footfalls are heavy enough for it to be able to hear where I am walking. My breath sounds a little bit heavier, but not so loud that anything that's not really listening for it will notice.
Do you want to risk roll or combat it? It's an easy combat, but you'll have to go at least 2 rounds because
I
it's a
think
7.
I think it has to be combat if I'm trying to kill it.
It does. I was also saying you could like maybe try to just like divert it or whatever, but
oh no, I think I'm gonna try and kill it. I want to bring its carcass back as a
tell me how you're vulnerable and roll weak point.
Special thing. I am vulnerable because I'm out in the woods alone, or out in the salt woods, not woods, salt desert alone, and far from my camp. And my weak point is a 6, so that's great.
Which of the hirelings did you hire?
I hired Cat Eater and Lisa Lot.
If you want, you can pick one of them to have woken up and followed you.
I like the idea that it'd be Lisa a lot,
Okay.
because Bazo's afraid of her.
Do you want Lisa in the fight?
Yes, join me.
I will roll a vulnerable point or a weak point for her. She's vulnerable because I think she's meant to be quiet right now, and she's not. That's not her strong suit, fighting quietly. So her weak point is 4. So we have a 6 and a 4, and it's a combat 2 to get 7 total. So go ahead and roll it, Amanda.
All right, I'll roll combat 2. And we have a 5 and a 2, which does not hit the weak points.
And
it
does
also
destroy
is a
it.
7.
Yeah, good. That's it. Couldn't have gotten a better roll, frankly. That was as good as it could have gotten. Start off the narration. What does it look like? How do you kill this thing?
I think once I get far enough from the camp that I think that it's not going to draw more attention towards my colleagues, I just crouch down, looking sort of like I am maybe hurt or weak. And I have my sawtooth blade clutched in my hands. I have the bird on my back, in a bag, because I wasn't going to leave him at camp. What if he gets eaten? And as the tarnished hound starts to creep up, I jump up and swing my blade around and just take the top of its head off with the newly oiled blade.
And I think I don't know what was Lieselot doing all this.
I think Lieselot does the final blow because I think this thing, it's not entirely like biological.
Yeah, I think it still kind of moves around, right?
Yeah, like a chicken.
Yeah. I think she basically just like grabs it by its sort of body, which is like a piece of chest plate, she grabs it and she just like squeezes, like, and then just like there's just like a kind of like a cracking sound as this thing just collapses into a pile of rust and dust, and then all the limbs just tumble down.
Oh, that thank you. I did not mean to wake you, of course. But
No worries. I thought you might need some help. You are rather small.
suppose comparatively.
Indeed. Go ahead and roll a gold 7.
And as normal with my gold rolls,
Nothing.
I got no gold.
Just a pile of useless rest is all that's left.
Why is this always the case when I roll for gold? The dice roller hates me.
You pass the night safely. You've completed the set goal. The next morning, everyone's kind of packing up. We can just kind of pick up with the scene the next morning, unless you all want to just get right out back onto the road. We have a big group scene, though.
Did you bring the carcass like back to the camp? Are you interacting with it in the morning?
Yeah, I did want to try and see if I could bring the carcass back. The idea was hopefully that I could get this as a sample of the environment.
Oh.
But I don't know if that'll work because
Haven't you already collected some Tarnished Hound stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think I got something new. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
I did bring it back anyway in case anybody wants something.
Some
I
rust.
I think Eliseo is just like, we just get like a small scene of him looking at it like just completely crumpled up. And like he can't raise an eyebrow because he's an ox mask for a face. But you get like the single raised eyebrow vibe as he just stares at it.
It's just like a slight head tilt.
Yeah, just like,
I think Cassian is just like poking at the pile of rust with the end of his spear, just being like, well, certainly glad to have had you so quick to action to prevent something gnarlier having befallen us. Though it does raise an interesting quandary. Are we to assume that, well, we are heading into what might be perceived as the lion's den? Should we take more precautions and ensure that everything is appropriately oiled up and ready to go, as it were.
Nevin does have oil that he will trade for a favor. However,
Ah,
I have not been called upon to act upon my favor yet, so I do not recommend.
well, I, on the other hand, did not bring such fanciful oils as our dear Nevenev, but I did bring this. And I'll go digging through my bag, and I have 3 uses of grease, which might be useful here.
Same idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same idea exactly. Just so, and I'm like, which I'm more than willing to offer for free as needed. No exchange necessary.
Cassian,
I
you
have no
would
need
make
for any of this.
Cassian, you would make for a poor businessman.
That's why I never went into the business.
Mm.
I am a man self-sufficient and look after my own fellows.
The journey. Cassian has grease if needed. You're continuing on, following the red flags tied to the trees, which presumably lead to the rifts. At a certain point, tell me, Alicio, what's the first thing you experience which makes you think the ground is shaking beneath your feet?
I think he is just walking, and I think he's looking, like walking, looking at these gauntlets, and suddenly like this big glob of salt just like falls off it. And then more and more, almost like shaking a tree covered in snow, all the salt starts shaking from our bodies.
Fergus says, do you all feel that? Lieselot says, it's the ground. It's shaking. What is that?
Everyone should be extremely still right now. Nobody move.
Let's take a 5-minute break. Cassian, since you had the brilliant idea of standing still, you get to do the risk roll. That
Yes.
will avoid whatever this is. Take it away.
Yeah, all right. So, gang, obviously, I'm hoping that this, which I assume to be the saltworm, will pass us by. What could go wrong here?
The saltworm does not pass you by and indeed bursts through the ground.
One might say. One might say.
I think it's worse than that even, where it is huge. It's like giant, and it can swallow us all in one big gulp.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, let's take a look at my. Okay, do I have a skill or piece of equipment that could be useful here? Would my skill and passion, the sake of just passionately getting everybody to just
No.
no, yeah, no, I figured not. Okay, could I argue then that? Oh God, no, I can't see an argument for any of these. Yeah, no, I don't have the die, so I'm gonna have to hear some devil's bargains. Whoever has one, I'm open to it.
No matter what, after this, all of your poems are about worms.
That's I don't know. I think I reject that. I don't think
It's
that
not a devil's bargain.
um,
I kind of want to do the obvious Dune reference here. I think like no matter what, like it might be so big that it doesn't spot us, so it doesn't negate that part, but it might move us, right? No matter what, we're being moved by
Oh,
it
like the
because we're
land is
like,
being altered
yeah,
and it's
the land and like,
so the path is not clear anymore. Oh, that's pretty
yeah.
good.
that's
Oh.
really good. It's really good.
I'm gonna say it moves on, but not before opening up a sinkhole underneath one of the hirelings.
Ooh, that is good.
This is probably maybe a little bit too silly, but no matter what, people in our little party, including the hirelings, are gonna gossip about potentially who your betrothed is, and I think it may cause issues in the future. Nah, as I
I
say
just
it,
it
it's
feels
bad.
it feels disconnected from what's going
Yeah,
on. Yeah,
never mind.
the poem thing does too.
Yeah,
It feels too disconnected.
that's fair.
I really like the angle of like the environmental disaster of like the land shifting in this thing's wake. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna take that devil's bargain.
One light die.
Am I risking my body in this?
Are you?
I feel like the risk to our body comes after if it emerges. So I'll say no. It's just one light die. So risk roll one light. Oh lordy. Oh, that's so bad. That's a 2.
That is a 2. Would you like to add a dark die and try again?
I would like to add a dark die and reroll. All right, here because I have added a dark die to my roll, I am open to help if anyone wishes to provide me aid.
Let's see how you do first.
Sure. Okay. Well, doesn't fucking matter. It's a 6, but I roll a 6 on both dice, and so my ruin goes up.
Your ruin does go up, but it all goes well. At least it passes along in its way. I'll describe the way the landscape changes,
Sure.
but you just describe keeping everyone chill,
Yeah,
and also how you get injured.
Sure. Here's the thing. So I think when Cassian's like, everyone remain still, and he kind of like puts his arms out, and he like just that smile is still on his face, but it is a very strained smile. And despite the dry environs, we see just a little bead of sweat coming down from his forehead as his eyes look around desperately. And he just is like holding his breath. I think everyone senses like the urgency and immediacy, especially Alicio, who saw the graffiti of "Beware the Saltworm." So I think Alicio is like quick to like click in. I would imagine that oh, this is what's happening, and whatever Cassian doesn't immediately do, the fact that the big armored guy is also going stock still would probably carry a lot of weight, and so the ground rumbles significantly. I think just in however you describe the land changing is I think Cassian slips into whatever like cascading like over like upheaval there is for a moment.
I think it's that some of the trees, including the trees with the red cloths tied to them, just collapse under the ground. Yeah,
I actually think that it's a large amount of it coming down, and I push Bazo out of the way of a lot of the salt, and then I just get like buried under a huge pile of salt. I'm kind of like sticking out in an on angle, and I need help getting back out, and I'm like like sputtering salt and like spitting it out.
is that how you got injured? You inhaled a bunch of salt?
I think it's just like it's just like this like coughing, like it's just all the salt in my body. Yeah.
Take a condition as well for your ruin. Salt choked. I guess.
I'll say choking on salt.
Choking on salt. Yeah.
Oh. Who helps me out of the pile?
Let's
Well,
just,
actually, I do want to hear how Jason described. Oh, no, you already did with the
yeah, basically, just by the time you all like gather your wits about you again, and you realize that the ground has stopped vibrating underneath you, that this thing has moved on, you don't see the trees with the red, like up ahead, the next tree with the red cloth. You don't see it, and so you don't know which way to go.
Oh yeah. So who helps me out of the pile?
I like to think it's like heavily armored hand goes in, like by the scruff, like an angry little cat that got into something it shouldn't have, shakes you, puts you down.
Yeah, he's like coughing and like fumbles for his like water skin to almost like desperately as he just like gives us like this hoarse like rattling wheeze of just all the salt in his mouth, just basically crushes his water skin into his mouth. He'll just like swish around and spit and take a sip and swallow. Just takes a few deep breaths. He goes, "Oh, thank you. Thank you kindly."
I give you like a whack, like a friendly but too hard, like smack on the shoulders, like salt kind of flushes off you.
Uh, well, I think we are most fortunate that it passes by.
Yes,
Cat Eater, are you going to be able to scout without the use of the flags?
that is going to be a bit of trouble, I'm afraid. I know generally what direction to go, but we may have to find. We may have to start using our navigational aptitudes, no longer able to rely upon those that went before.
Bird,
Liar.
I look at the bag. Do you know the way through this desert?
Liar.
It's a bird, Basso.
Did you say that? Did you take the one devil's bargain earlier, Basso, that you're like more connected to the bird now?
Yeah.
Oh, I like
did.
it. I think if you let the bird like fly, that would be a good justification for being able to basically like get you can have like a glimpse of his bird's eye view and find the right way back. You may have to let the bird go though.
No, he's my friend.
He may come back, but he might, birds fuck off all the time and come back, so
Yeah.
who knows?
Okay. Instead, I'd like to do a ritual.
To do what?
I would like to swap bodies with the bird again.
Well, I think that's kind of what you're doing. I think like you've already,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're doing. Like you're seeing through the bird's eyes already, and you can see the way. And then by the time you go back to your body, it's not clear where the bird is. So, but who knows? He might show back up.
Okay. You know what? He is my friend, and I believe he will come back. And it's not right to keep your friend in a sack. Usually. Unless they want to. I don't know. Like, okay.
You can make
I'd
a
like
hunt roll
to-
for this as well.
Yeah, I would like to do that, please.
You get 2 dice for the bird.
Hunt roll 2 dice. I get a 6. Thanks, bird.
Take your token. Not connected to the 6 necessarily, but you also can see the right way to go. You find the direction of the next trees with the red, the red things
Yeah.
tied to them, getting you back on the path.
I think the actual 6 I got for that is because I already mentioned that I don't really know how to fly. I think this time I'm better at it. It's also because I have a better connection with the bird.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of figured it out.
Absolutely. You are able to reach the descent. Someone has even like put up a sign that says the descent, so you can't miss it. The descent is, well, the salt falls into the depths of the white wasteland rifts like cascades of iridescent crystal under the sun. Shaky rope ladders left by those who came before vanish into the wounds of the pale earth. This might be the point of no return. You might be staring into a grave. Big old hole in the ground. There is a rope ladder left behind. The rope is corroded quite badly and does not look the safest thing, but it can be used to get down. You can also go into your equipment to try to rig another way down, but this is your next set goal, which is to safely reach the bottom, putting you into the rifts.
I think Cassian would like to, while the others are deliberating, just sort of like pace around, not like super close to the edge, but like pace around like the opening in the earth, and maybe kicking some salt aside and just seeing if anything's been discarded here, or if there's any other like signs of things that have been left behind. I don't know.
Are you spending a token to get a treasure, or are you doing a hunt roll?
No, I'm doing a hunt roll.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. I don't see an argument for passion, persuasion, rituals, or independence. I'll just roll the single like that.
Unless you have a piece of equipment that would be helpful.
Oh, that's right. Hold on. No, and I don't want to mark a new item slot, so I'll just make up one hunt roll.
I'll remind you, if you get a 1, you lose all your hunt tokens.
I have one hunt token, so I'm willing to risk it.
All right.
All right, it's a 4.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. I think as you are looking around for things that might be of use, um, something you'll notice is that the wall of the shaft going down, it you'll notice that the the initial descent, if you were to like scale the wall somehow rather than taking the rope ladder, is kind of just salt and maybe not the most structurally sound. But it does get to be stone when you go down further. It's that initial descent that's tricky.
Yeah, I think Cassian sees this and there's like this like audible like nervous gulp that is just painful going all the way down because of how dry his throat is. Oh,
I'll remind you all the rules of the game: 3 hunt tokens, and we just narrate safely getting down.
yeah, but also hunt tokens mean money if we get treasure.
Also, I don't have hunt tokens, so like I don't have any say in this matter. But I do have a say in what's in my equipment. However, I think as like Cassian is taking a look around, eyeing this whole wall, but everybody's milling about, trying to figure out like, hey, what's a better way down than the rope ladder that probably is gonna break under us. I'm just pulling out like 60 feet of rope.
60 feet's a good amount.
Mhm.
It's not enough.
Damn, that's far.
There are essentially 3 descents you have to do here. 60 feet of rope is good for one of them. If somebody has some equipment that can help secure the rope periodically, then that will help you maybe get down. Basically, a plan with 3 pieces of equipment spent, I'm open to descending safely even. But I just want to know what that plan is, bearing in mind that the initial descent is all salt and a little tricky.
I have an idea, but I think it would involve going and inspecting some of these trees that are around. Because one part, looking for long, sturdy pieces of wood that could
Mm,
be used to hammer in.
mm. They're all
So,
petrified, the trees. So
yeah,
yeah,
in order to,
if you can split them,
yeah.
it'll hold, right?
So that's what I think I have. I think I have an axe
Mm.
so that I can split pieces of tree. I'm also trying to see if I can chop up a bit of tree if there's anything that's like they're petrified, but it might be any part of the tree that's of interest that I can use for
Do a hunt
my
roll.
goal.
Do a hunt roll. You can do a 2 die hunt roll because you're kind of maybe using your equipment to test the tree's strength and whether you can
Yeah,
even cut into the trees.
in my equipment. 2 dice. I got a 6. I've got a lot of 6s.
Take your token. You are not able to cut up the wood. However, one of these petrified trees does have a petrified branch that hangs over the hole, and it's very sturdy because it's petrified.
Ooh. I think I tell my companions this. Uh, if we can find use of this, I do believe this is sturdy enough to get us all the way down. But does anyone have rope long enough or something that we
I will
can?
let the tree be one of the pieces of equipment that I need.
All right, fuck it. I'll have an extra thing of rope to add to the mix to help carry us the other way. Yeah, Cassian will like now that he's like come back to the group after pacing around the hole, hearing what we're deliberating, and just take his pack off to pull out another 60 feet of rope bundle that he had stored on the side.
Fantastic. Um, the hirelings can help you fashion it and secure it, and I just need to know the order everyone's going down in.
I would think that Eliseo is last because I'm imagining that maybe me and Liselot are also like holding
Yeah,
the
kind of
rope, at
keep it
least
steady.
initially,
Yeah, yeah,
just in case like that
yeah,
branch doesn't work or there's like something.
yeah, yeah.
And then like us going last in case our weight snaps it, then it's just us and like everybody's fucked, right? So I think we're like extra security. But I think before that, I would like to exchange one of my hunt tokens for gold.
Oh, okay, great.
Because I think Elisio was also going, like that was my plan to also try and see if I could chop down trees.
Right.
So I'm imagining that maybe I went along with Basso and there's like a few that I gave like a good few twacks, like kicked it. And maybe I could like bend one a little bit, like clearly where we could have done this if we'd taken like a lot of time, but we don't want to waste that when we've got the rope. But I think in its like broken, splintered tree trunk, I think we see that, like those trees that have like, like the opening where animals might have
Yeah.
been at some point.
Okay.
I think there was a magpie's nest, but it's like completely like salted, broken over. But I find in it like just, I
I have a
think like
treasure.
a gold signet ring or something.
I like that. You find a silver ring, actually.
A silver ring.
The silver ring is engraved with a rune that you don't recognize.
All
It's worth
right.
1 gold. Add it to
And
your found
then,
equipment.
and then I will simply like lower down the rope and I'll stand there holding guard.
I don't need any die rolls. Everyone just please narrate going around Robin style montage, getting down to the bottom.
I think I actually go first because I'm quite, even though I'm small according to Lieselot, I am quite heavy. And I think I give a longing glance at the sky, and sort of whisper, "Be safe out there," to my bird friend, who is out flying around. And I grab the rope and slide down. Maybe I grease up my hands a little bit with some a little teeny bit of that grease, so they don't get rope burn.
Whoever wants to go next, please do.
I think when Cassian goes, there's like a moment's trepidation as he eyes the more unstable, salty walls and doing his best not to look particularly perturbed as he descends, but it's clear he's very uncomfortable. But once he makes it past like the salt structures and his feet are actually repelling against stone, there's an easiness that settles into him. He doesn't breathe quite easily. There's still this kind of like rattling dryness, this hoarse, salt crusted wheeze that he has now. But he repels further down.
I'll kick in for the couple of the hirelings. Fergus like jumps on the rope and he's all upper body strength, just going down. And Cat Eater is very, very agile on the rope. It's no trouble whatsoever for Cat Eater to get down the rope. Dathmar needs a little bit more, or Dathmar needs a little extra help. This is not really his bag, but he does slowly manage to get down.
I think following up with that, I think Nevin is helping people along the rope, because like Nevin is used to having pulling things up and down a rope, effectively just dead weight, because well, sometimes when you're infiltrating into nobles' houses, you can't take out the find the unlock their lock boxes quick enough and fast enough, so you have to be able to like shimmy around the rope and like climbing outside of the front gates. It's just pretty difficult, but eh.
Yeah. Everyone's down except for Eliseo and Lieselot. Lieselot says, "Go ahead. It seems we're going in order of size."
I will just hold the head and like gallantly just go like, I'll just nod at her and I will not move unless she goes.
She goes, and
We see
she
like a little bit where she goes like, fuck. It was heavy.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like, You all manage to get down eventually to the bottom, down into a cave. You've completed the set goal of safely reaching the bottom. Those of you who gave up rope, if you just remove it from your equipment, you will also have the way back. So the rope will be there for you to climb back out as needed.
Yeah, I'll leave it behind, so I'll strike it through. Which remember, we do not
I mean,
delete the shell.
there's always the rope ladder too, so just know that
Sure.
too.
Yeah, I'll just strike through. That's fine. Cross it out.
Let me find where I'm at in the module. The rifts. The rifts of the salt plains descend into unfathomable depths, where the whims of salinization and the erosion of rivers of acid sculpt a landscape in constant flux. Attempting to map these depths would be like trying to catch the wind in a fist. Mapping it, very, very, basically impossible. That said, you do need to be able to find your way back to the entrance. So maybe be thinking on that, how you might do that. Lips crack, wounds burn, the thermal sensation is suffocating, as if the very air was saturated with the salt that consumes everything here. An acrid smell permeates every breath. Acid rivers carve their way through the rocks, hissing, crystallizing. They mix with substances yet unnamed by man. They glow like the ghost of a serpent. You are now exploring, trying to find this temple. The exploration, out of character, requires, it's essentially 3 stretches of journey. Each one capstoned with a sanctuary. And your first set goal is to reach the first sanctuary. I recommend you all take turns on who's the principal die roller, but you don't have to if you think your skills are more applicable in the navigation of the space. Maybe the hirelings are really good at that. I'm not sure what skills you've given them. Let me look here. Well, they're good skills. I'm not sure they're very good navigational skills. But yeah, let's just have the scene with all of you at the bottom of the rope, taking stock of the honeycomb of caverns and acid rivers and tunnels and laid out before you.
Imagine like there's a bit of discussion about like who should take lead, about like how we're going to map this place, and I think Nevin is sort of like unbuttoning their cloak a little bit, so like they have a bit of better access and sort of wrapping it around like their arm and whatnot. So instead of it being a typical like pen and paper type of map, it's actually going to be a stitched map because Nevin has a sewing kit.
Little embroidery.
Yeah, a little bit of embroidery.
Keep you busy. I mean, I'm mostly curious how you're going to find the hole again.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I could use. I have a ritual called Knock, which is open a nearby portal that is shut. But I'm wondering if Drathmar, who has a skill in rituals, might be able to help me modify it so that we could have sort of a traveling portal.
A door back to the oh, I like that. He says, I know this magic of which you speak. Magic that is meant to open doors. It would not be impossible, I don't think, if we found a suitable door Doors are portals, after all. A door that opens up into one place. I suppose the laws of the universe, if properly managed, could be convinced, massaged, reconfigured to lead somewhere else. It's certainly a fascinating idea.
I've used this ritual on many things big and small. The mouth of a cave that had been collapsed, a small window. It worked, but I've never tried it on a manufactured opening. Or at least one that did not exist before I tried the ritual.
It seems to me the difficulty will be convincing the portal to take us somewhere else, not where it's meant to take you. It seems there would have to be some sort of focus, perhaps, something visual, a picture.
I have on my person this small mirror. This mirror, I use it in other rituals, but it's not necessary for the ritual. It's just helpful.
Yes.
It reflects.
The principle is sound. The idea being that the visual nature, the manipulation of the light, what's seen in the mirror has an effect on the magic. We need something similar here. Perhaps if someone could paint us a picture of the rope and the shaft, we might be able to use that as a way to coax the magic.
I'm no artist.
Cassian, does your artistic skills stretch beyond wordsmithing?
I'm afraid I'm a man of the written word myself. But if we had a door, I might be able to provide a key.
Perhaps the written word would work. Perhaps you should write a bit of poetry, a bit of verse about this. This shaft that leads to the surface, this rope that is our lifeline.
I suppose that is a way to look at it. I could present a worded door, as it were. Very well. I can do my best.
You compose the verse.
Yes.
Is this what we're going to strictly rely on to see if we can get back?
Oh, fuck you. No, don't say that.
Can I, like, while Cassian is doing this, can I just take my axe and just, like, whack it in the ground and start, like, dragging it to make, like, a pentagram or, like, something, like, small but really obvious that you could, like, very easily, like, retrace. Like, very much with that air of, like, oh my fucking God, like, it's not that fucking hard, you know? Like, not saying a word, but there's just, like, a bang when the axe goes and I'm just, like, dragging it.
A symbol, a sympathetic connection to this place and wherever we find ourselves down there. Nevin, can you embroider this symbol?
Yes, that's not too complicated for the symbol. And Nevin this entire time has like been like embroidering like this sort of like thing that's going on.
This reminds me of a farce I once wrote.
In character, I don't think your characters have any idea this is going to work. Out of character, it has a chance of working. So yeah, I'm into it. Basically, you can use the knock spell to walk through another door it'll open the door, but it'll lead to this spot. That's where the door will lead to.
Sick.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that still leaves us with our set goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say
and actually, Basso, I'm going to give you a hunt roll for that whole thing as well. Just get a token out of this as well.
Before I do the hunt roll, since we've just arrived at the bottom of this thing, I would like to take a look around and see what I can find in order to exchange one of my tokens for something cool. Maybe something that'll help me with my goal. Maybe something that's worth some money.
Yeah, you will find a bronze chalice engraved with images of men and women drinking and celebrating.
Oh, that's nice.
You might have noticed the glimmer on the way down. The whole way down. You couldn't wait to get to it.
Is it worth money?
It's worth 1 gold.
Perfect. Just wanted to double check just in case it wasn't worth anything.
Mm.
All right. I would like to do my hunt roll. So I get a light die for just cause and a light die for the whole.
I think
when you do a
the whole
hunt roll,
discussion, I think the whole like plan with
Yeah.
with
Because when you do a hunt roll,
Deathmore.
you get a light die just for interacting with the
just for doing
environment
it,
and asking
yeah,
questions,
for
and
asking
then
questions and
second-
interacting. Yeah.
All right. That is a 6. This is nuts. How come I don't roll like this normally?
I think that you take your token. I think that Cat Eater separately. Cat Eater is using whatever instincts he might have for navigating such places to at least begin the journey. And if everyone's okay with that, you can follow him.
I would say yeah.
You all eventually come upon a very curious thing indeed. Debating how I want to present this. As you're walking down a particular cave tunnel, your feet begin sinking into a thick, white substance. It is plainly guano. And when you look up, you see that the ceiling is covered with glowing eyes, a colony of bats staring down at you. Perhaps most interesting or troubling is they speak. They speak to you all with a single voice made of many voices. They say, "A fragment of your destiny in exchange for a safe passage."
Do we get to choose the fragment?
There's a bit of ruffling of wings up, like they're kind of stretching their wings. They repeat their offer. "A fragment of your destiny in exchange for a safe passage."
Do we all have to give a fragment, or is it just one of us?
Oh, boss, so have you not learned the animals say one thing and one thing only? You should have learned this after the bloody crow.
They might say something else. You don't know that, Cassian.
He pauses and waits for them to say the message again.
They do.
Yeah. Then he just gives you the eyes like,
Out of
Eliseo
character.
mutters under his breath, if only everyone could learn.
Out of character,
Mhm.
the bats will lead you to the first sanctuary. But in exchange, at any point in the future, I can force any one of you to re-roll a single die roll. Risk, combat, hunt, my choice.
I'm all in. That's dramatic as hell.
Oh, you're volunteering yourself? Go for it.
I believe that I will take up this offer, yes. Please lead the way.
You hear as the bats begin flying down, very intentionally down one of many different shafts. Do you all follow?
Absolutely.
I got nods from Eliseo, Nevin. Everyone's following. The way this goes is they essentially wait for you to catch up because you're much slower than them. So they fly to the next like little clearing and roost. And once you arrive, they take off again. And you follow them. They wait patiently for you to come. And then they fly off again down another passage.
I have a question while we're being led around like this. Are we passing any of those like acid streams on the way?
Yes, they're everywhere. You can see them. They
Yeah,
glow. They're easy to
sure.
avoid. But
I
yeah,
I think I'd like to try something stupid while we're moving, which is I have all these like lead bottles and I want to see if I can like get some of the acid into a bottle to keep for later.
you can take that and put it in your found equipment.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredible.
If you have a lead bottle, you can do it easy.
Yeah, I have six of them, so I'll
Yeah.
spend one to have a bottle of acid.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
This is so triggering my video game instinct to do like all the passages because they're waiting for us anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like
oh, they're going to the right. I should go to the left and see if there's like gold I can find.
Oh yeah, because in the video
Oh.
game they just wait on you, right?
Yeah, they just wait on
There's
us,
like a
right?
yellow arrow
So,
pointing at them all the time.
and I just go in all the different rooms first, and then I follow.
One of these days I will play a trophy character whose entire background is I go into dungeons and paint.
You paint all the handholds yellow.
Paint all the handholds yellow.
And light the thousands of candles. I always wonder who lights all those fucking candles and who paints all these things.
It's a tough job, but someone's got to do
Someone's
it.
got to do it.
He's like putting down all the little notebooks with the
I just rip out pages of a journal, crumble them up, and just throw them somewhere. I'm like, oh,
the bandits are right outside the door. Quick, my last message for you, my love, splatters in blood.
Kisses the page. Fantastic.
I have my backup.
You do this for a time, and eventually the bats just disperse into different directions because they've brought you to the first sanctuary. I need someone to roll a light die so I can see which sanctuary you're going to find.
It's been a while since Chaotix rolled anything.
Go ahead, Chaotic.
Yeah, let's go. A 1.
A 1. You arrive at a grotto. This grotto opens into a large, very vertical chamber. Bioluminescent creatures resembling jellyfish float in the hot air blowing from below. The jellyfish don't seem to react particularly to your presence, and they are pretty high up. They don't seem aggressive at all, in fact. There are a few of them that are close enough to the ground for you to reach them if you were inclined to try. But it's just this tall cave space illuminated by these glowing jellyfish floating in the air. And you can rest here. We do have a couple of bestiary things to sort out. You all need to name the worm. Just your, whatever you call it. whatever you might have named it in the meantime. You need to name the bats, and you need to name the jellyfish. But we can do that next time. For now, let's go to Stars and Wishes.
I'll say off the bat, Stars. Love the little bat wing sound effect there. That was cool. That was a good one. No, that was really fun. I loved all the little moments of us getting to like add layers of ribbing on top of Jazzy with Alicio and what was her name? Liselette, is that her name? Yeah, Liselette. Which by the way, all these NPCs are very cool. I love the like the soft, dulcet tones of Cat Eater. I think Cassian wants to listen to him recite some poetry. But no, let's see. Yeah, no, just really exciting. I loved how the scene played out with the armor and the weaponsmith. That was really funny. And also really good creative kind of like arguments. I love getting to hear how people justify the use of their skills. Loved that door argument at the end there. Not argument, but like discussion. So star to Amanda for the clever instigating idea. And yeah, I'm so very like trophy minded right now because Jason and I recorded an episode for Dark and Threshold about the hunt roll. So I've just been like very much like excited whenever we're doing the hunt roll because I really am passionate about it. And now that we're getting into the dungeon, I'm really looking forward to like doing not just more hunt rolls, but kind of just engaging more with the actual like adventure text and getting to explore some of these like environs and maybe see some more fucked up monsters. I don't know. But yeah, no, just I was having a blast and love the continued like weird hostility that Basso is throwing like Cassian's way for literally no reason. It's really funny. And man, Nevin is such a fucking little weasel. I hate him. Which I love you. I know you love playing little freaks. Oh, last star I'll throw out there is this is kind of like a star for the module art because the art of Drathamar. Jason was away on break when I said this, but I was like, has such like Dark Souls NPC energy of like a fucked up little guy. Like when you expend his dialogue, all he just goes is that's all he does. So yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, and I'm really digging the vibes. I'm looking forward to next time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, like I gotta echo that star of like the art. I would say like a majority of like the MPs, our hirelings have like Dark Souls art. I would say like literally, it's just really really good. God, I love I love all these NPCs. They are just they are equally weird batch of weirdos as we are. I'm not gonna lie. Like the only reason like we're following our group around is just because like we're just players. Like that's the main difference. I can see like a trophy gold game having these characters being the PCs very easily. Um as man said in chat, we're the only ones weird enough to hire them, which fair enough. Again, Bazo and Cassian's hostile work relationship, very very funny. But also Elisio's like somewhat antagonism crush with Lisolette, that's very entertaining. And then Lisolette is just like I like my men little, and I'm just like God, you just want a little Mew Mew. That's what you want.
Never say little Mew Mew to me ever again.
I will say the most cursed things. Uh, and then if following that up as interacting with Basso of this like you're little. So like this really like this love triangle that's happening off to the side. Meanwhile Nevin's like, so how are we gonna get money? Um, because that's what we're here for. I do not care about your relationships whatsoever. And then like it's just like in the background, Cassian's just saying, "I'm doing this for the power of love." Not like in my head, I'm just like, it's just what's funny. What's the wrong with you people? Like, why are you selfish, greedy bastards? I'm also the reason I hired Ferguson is so like I can get Ferguson to die on the incursion.
That's what I figured. Yeah, you're gonna just kill him at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know I haven't rolled a lot this session, but that's kind of intentional because I'm like, okay,
I
I will
mean,
have
die rolls lead to ruin, so don't
yeah,
blame you.
yeah, like if if I can figure out a way to get my hireling to make the die rolls and then like loot his corpse later, that then it's all good. Also, I'm very pleased about Cassian just picking up grease and offering it for free compared to Nevin trying to sell people of like, hey, how much is this worth to you? Because this seems pretty valuable. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I had a great time. I really, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I continue to really love this module. It's so so good, and I enjoyed playing the NPCs. That was a lot of fun for me. And I liked sort of some of the interactions and um the weird like low key like I think Lieselot is like flirting in her way, right, with Alicio, but also like reminding Alicio like that she's the bigger, tougher one, right? Like like saying, "Oh, we're apparently going in size order," like just things like that, right? Like, like which I thought was great. Yeah, star for the idea of like using the knock to get back to the rope and just kind of getting Drathamar involved in that. That's a great use of like fictional positioning, frankly, like kind of using like the knowledge of an NPC hireling combined with your ritual and kind of playing with it. Like I'm very open to that kind of like that making the game work in that way, right? Really, really fun. Loved the whole conversation between Drathmar and Cassian. That was a really great conversation, particularly Cassian explaining his like purpose in doing all of this. It was really fun. I like this like kind of weird like con basically that Nevin is doing with Amalia back in town. Like they're basically setting up Fergus so that like the king's men will like accept him as like the one that did it, right? Which I think is kind of like really effed up, but good. And yeah, and just the whole like situation with the two blacksmiths was really really fun. So that's star for that. That was just great, good stuff. And my wish, I just want to see how this proceeds. Really, yeah.
Mine are very similar. I really liked some of the ways that the decisions were made this time. The chaotix leaning into Bazo asking for that equipment piece by having a favor, and then I know it's going to be bad, and chaotic knows that about me, that I will absolutely go in for it if it's going to be extra drama. So big star to chaotic for that. I love the idea of the bargain with the bats. The whole you can make me re-roll whatever. That's going to be super fun, and I'm definitely going to die, but that's okay because it's going to be interesting. Jazzy, you have
Actually, it's
this
anybody like any role.
Oh,
Any
even
role.
better. I'm gonna
Yeah,
screw
any
you all
role.
over. I'm gonna be
yeah,
fine.
yeah. You all benefited from the journey, so. Yeah.
Jazzy, you have this really uncanny ability to really represent your character in small but really impactful ways. Like the whole bit where Eliseo, holding the rope and just that is such a good quick representation of who Eliseo is, and it was just perfect. But all of the choices that you make for Eliseo, it's great. You're always just super fun to be at a table with. So I'm excited about that. Alex, Nevin's so annoying. Just when the
I
whole
don't play
bit
Nevin.
Oh no, sorry, not Devin. Cassian. Cassian's so annoying. The whole
Yeah.
bit with the poetry and the whole thing about the betrothed, I was like, this is such Jasper Finch energy, and I love it. So I'm having a lot of fun with that.
You have Jasper trauma.
I do.
I
Everyone
think
has
we all
Jasper
do.
trauma. I'd like to throw out a star to the dice roller. I had 5 rolls, and one of them was a 4. The rest of them were 6s.
It was real kind to you today. Yeah.
It was really nice to me. No gold, but that's just standard for my rolling. So thank you for that. I think it's being nice to me because I took on 2 hirelings, but I had to because I mean a weird lizard man. I'm not going to say no to that, and also we need the drama of the big woman. So no regrets. Yeah, I'm excited for what's going to happen next. I'm excited for when I can reveal, because I figured it out, when I can reveal what Bazo really is. That's gonna be fun. The end.
Stars for Amanda. I mean, echoing everything that's been said, but I really love that moment with Basso and the Tarnished Hound. Because that was so counter to what we've seen from Basso so far, but like in a very interesting way, where it was kind of almost like who you are in the dark. Because you could have just, like woken up Eliseo and be like, hey, go fight that thing or something, right? But I like that like, his first response was to take care of it himself and to like lead it away and be clever but still fight. Like just a lot of really interesting choices that I think showed a new side of Bossa that was super interesting. Um, I also loved you just being like so down for the you get a connection with the birds. Devil's bargain. That was really fun. For Alex, yeah, the random matchmaking was so funny. For Cassian to be like, hey, you should check out Eliseo. He's cool. And then just like, that was sort of it. It was just a very fun thing. And it feels just like Cassian just like, I feel like every time he speaks, it's just like throwing spaghetti and just seeing like what the fuck sticks and what doesn't. And it's just like, I'm just gonna say a bunch of shit and then we'll see what people react to. And it's just a very funny vibe for a person to have. Um, yeah, but that was really fun. Yeah, I loved the NPCs and how you're portraying them, Jason. Like they're all like very distinct and very cool. And I especially loved uh Fergus like I don't know. I love the way that he doesn't seem to care about Eliseo. Like the story that we're setting up where it's like, oh, like new phone, who this? And Eliseo's like, it's my goal to be better than you. And it's just such a funny, or like an interesting, like, why is it so important to Eliseo then? It's sort of like immediately where my brain went. Like, is it just a ego thing? Is there more going on? And it does that make it worse that Ferguson doesn't even know. But just like a very interesting like baseline to go from. That was very fun. Yeah, for chaotic, yeah, I love Nevin just being a little weasel. That was very funny. And I thought like just pulling out the rope and being like, yeah, I fixed it. I have a rope now. Like I don't know why, just the simplicity of it was very funny to me. That was nice. Um, Wishes. It's starting to kind of feel like Eliseo's and Nevin's goal might fight each other. And I think that's very, very interesting because if my thing is that I want to prove myself and like show him that I killed it first, then he can die before that happens. And he can be taken away if he, like there's friction there that I think is very interesting and
Well,
I'd
and
love
also, if
to.
the rumor of the crown is correct, that's a real
That's
problem,
a
right?
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real bummer. I think when you said that, I literally typed in the chat like, well, that's fucked up for Eliseo. That's a big issue. So yeah, I'm very interesting to see like where that comes into friction. And I'm very interesting to learn more about Basso's like big drive and goal as well. Because it feels like there's a lot to see there. And also why Cassian thinks whatever he needs for his betrothed is all the way out in fucking Salt
I
Plain
know.
land.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what? So yeah, just the goals and the drives. I'm very excited to interact more with those.
Fantastic. Well, great fun, everyone. Any other stars and wishes? Okay, then
I,
I'm gonna
I,
wave good. Oh, go ahead.
I'm really I wanted to know like what is Basso? Like God, that has got me concerned. Ominous.
Seems like
Um,
we shall find out next time. Fantastic. I'm gonna wave goodbye to everybody watching the video. Goodbye, everyone watching the video.